In November 1935, in Manila, the inauguration of the first president of the Philippine Commonwealth was celebrated before an audience of several representatives of the U.S. government and a gathering of proud Filipinos whose dreams of independence were gradually coming true. President Quezon worked toward the extension of the Philippine educational facilities.
It's been 75 years in a pretty much continuous line since we had our first modern inaugural in 1935. Every inauguration since has inherited ceremonial from that event, with individual presidents adding and discarding particular elements. Tonight, let's go through this 75-year period as the country starts buzzing about the 12th formal inaugural ceremonies in store for us in June for the 9th president-elect, also the 5th president of the 5th Republic, but the 15th president in our entire history. I'm Manolo Quezon, the explainer. The Constitution tells us that at precisely 12 noon on June 30th, the president-elect is supposed to recite the oath of office specified in the Constitution, and by so doing become the new President of the Philippines. His designated successor, the Vice President-elect, also takes his oath on the same day in inaugural ceremonies that were basically established in 1935. President-elect Aquino has so far given some hints about how he wants to approach his inaugural, with a combination of defying current practices and going back to pre-martial law traditions. Among the ideas he originally considered was to hold his inaugural where he held his Meeting de Avance on the eve of the May 10th elections at the Quezon Memorial Circle. However, in the end, he opted for the Quirino Grandstand in Rizal Park, where 6 presidents have had their inaugurals, with 2 more delivering their inaugural addresses there. Now, both proposed sites did have something in common. They both are national monuments in national parks that are the burial places of those after whom the parks are named. But the idea of the presidential oath-taking location changing is itself nothing new. There are so many other past sites. Barasoain Church in 1899 and 1998. Outside Malinta Tunnel in 1941. In front of the Legislative Building in 1935, 1943, and 1946. There's even Kalayaan Hall in Malacanang itself in 1948, 1957, and 1986. And the EDSA Shrine in 2001, and the Cebu Provincial Capitol in 2004, not to mention Club Filipino in 1986. Now, the oldest tradition is the holding of the inaugural at the site of Congress. In 1899, this made particular sense because it was Congress that elected the president. In 1935, the Legislative Building was the home of Congress, and it was the specifically American tradition of presidents being inaugurated on the front steps of their Congress that was copied. It also made sense in 1943 when it was the National Assembly that elected the president. In 1946, the Legislative Building was in ruins, but symbolically it remained the site of President Rojas's inaugural in May 1946. Dignitaries gathered at the half-ruined Manila City Hall and proceeded from there to the utter ruins of the Legislative Building. But the independence ceremonies 2 months later in July 1946 required a less ruined venue than the Legislative Building. So a temporary grandstand was built right in front of the Rizal Monument. Now, it was there that the famous photo of our independence ceremony was taken on July 4th, 1946. President Rojas retook his oath of office, this time without the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States. And in commemoration, a giant flagpole was built, later destroyed in a typhoon, but its replacement is still called the Independence Flagpole. In 1949, when President Quirino was due to be inaugurated, Congress still squatted in a converted schoolhouse, and so a site had to be found for the inaugural. By then, a permanent grandstand had been built. Here is a rare photo posted in Skyscraper City of how it originally looked. Later on, it would be expanded sideways, and later still the central portion that you see was demolished because it was considered too massive. Now, the vista of Rizal Park symbolically ties in 1896, the year when our revolution began and when Rizal was killed, 1898, when the First Republic was proclaimed and our flag and anthem given to us, and 1946, when the world recognized our independence. But beyond location, let's look at inaugural ritual as it evolved over administrations. After private religious worship in the morning, Inauguration Day traditionally began with the president-elect fetching the incumbent president, where in the days when presidents ran for re-election and usually lost, was a period for uncomfortable smiles that would be exchanged by the defeated incumbent and his elected rival, as here shown with President Garcia and President-elect Macapagal. Now here in the next photo, as was the case with Quirino and President-elect Magsaysay, the incumbent would sometimes conduct the president-elect to the presidential study, there to try out the presidential desk. Then, in a tradition dating back to Osmeña and Rojas, the first transfer of power from an incumbent to an elected successor, the incumbent and the president-elect would then leave the palace for the inaugural venue. The incumbent president for the last time, and the incumbent president, the president-elect later to move in, and we'll go to that later. Now, this was itself a practice borrowed from the Americans, and a very tense one it's always been. Here, Woodrow Wilson, for example, looks fairly friendly with his successor, Warren G. Harding, but in one case, Herbert Hoover and Franklin D. Roosevelt, they didn't even talk to each other on the way to the inauguration. Now, once they get to the inaugural site, the incumbent would then receive military honors for the last time, accompanied by the president-elect. They then shake hands, and then the incumbent would leave. Now, this tradition was broken by President Aquino, who accompanied President-elect Ramos and then witnessed his inaugural to symbolize the completion of her mission to reestablish democracy. Now, going back to previous practice, President Quirino, in turn, began the practice, continued up to Ramos, of then having the inaugural parade precede the oath-taking once the president-elect reached the grandstand. Now, what has been a consistent practice since 1935 is that the vice president-elect takes his oath, as Macapagal here did in 1957, immediately before the president-elect. Then the president-elect takes the oath of office with the text unchanged since it was used for the first time in 1935. Now, traditionally, the Chief Justice administers the oath. Now, though, as you can see here in Macapagal's 1961 inaugural, the black robes for the justice administering the oath seems to have been optional too. Then, after taking the oath, the new president signs his oath of office, as Estrada did in Barasuain in 1998. The new president also usually receives, at this point, the honors of the state for the first time. A 21-gun salute, 4 ruffles and flourishes, and the playing of a march or the presidential anthem, Mabuhay. Then the new president delivers his inaugural address. Since 1935, they tend to have fixed parts, thanking God, the people, and accepting a new mandate, and then laying out the policies of the new administration in bold strokes. In some cases, as in Magsaysay's 1953 inaugural, the crowds can be so big that the new president then gets mobbed. Magsaysay's Barong Tagalog, they say, ended up torn to shreds by the enthusiastic people. Now, usually, the family of the president also joins the new president in greeting the crowd. Now, prior to 1949, the practice, as shown here in Laurel's 1943 inaugural, was for the inaugural parade to take place. But as you can see, President Quirino changed it. Then, the new president goes to symbolically occupy the presidential palace as its new tenant. From the inaugural venue, the president is accompanied by the armed forces up to the vicinity of Malacañang Palace, at which point the presidential guards takes over to salute their new commander. Now, this symbolic act of possession or occupation also has its ritual, the climbing of the main stairs and the signing of the guest book by the new president and his family. Here's President Rojas, his wife and mother in 1946. Now, what former presidents wore during their inaugurals is next when the explainer returns.